the story of David, a humble shepherd boy who ascended to the throne of Israel, is not merely a historical account but a profound narrative woven with threads of faith, courage, divine providence, and the intricate tapestry of human experience. It is a tale that begins in a time of national despair with a nascent kingdom grappling with existential threats and culminates in an era of unprecedented wisdom, prosperity, and spiritual enlightenment. Yet the path to this golden age was anything but smooth. It was fraught with trials, betrayals, and moments of profound introspection, revealing timeless lessons about leadership, unwavering obedience, the complexities of human nature, and the often unexpected ways in which divine will unfolds in the world. In the annals of ancient Israel, few periods were as fraught with tension and uncertainty as the early reign of King Saul, appointed by divine decree, yet often swayed by human frailty. Saul stood at the helm of a nation, perpetually besieged by its formidable neighbors, the Philistines. It was against this backdrop of simmering conflict that one of the most pivotal moments in Israel's history began to unfold. The Israelites, under the joint leadership of King Saul and the venerable prophet Samuel, were preparing for a monumental confrontation, a battle that would test not only their military might, but more importantly, their spiritual resolve. With an impressive army of 80,000 warriors, a force that in those times was considered truly formidable, they embarked on an arduous march towards the heartland of Palestine. Their collective determination about to be tested in ways they could scarcely imagine. Their journey led them to a seemingly innocuous obstacle, a river, its water shimmering under the harsh Middle Eastern sun, separating the lands of Jordan from Palestine. What appeared to be a simple geographical feature, however, was destined to become a divine proving ground, a crucible designed to sift the truly faithful from the merely numerous. King Saul, acting under direct divine command relayed through the prophet Samuel, issued an order that struck many as utterly bewildering, even cruel. Do not drink from this river. The soldiers, parched and weary from their long and dusty trek, their throats aching for respite, were consumed by a collective sense of disbelief. How could such a command be given? How could they, hardened warriors, be expected to endure such thirst, especially on the eve of a major battle? Yet the command was absolute, unyielding, with only one minuscule, almost paradoxical exception. A single scoop of water was permitted, just enough to moisten the lips, a symbolic gesture rather than a quenching draught. This was not a test of physical endurance alone. It was a profound test of obedience, a spiritual filter designed to expose the depth of their faith and discipline, or the lack thereof. The results of this seemingly simple trial were nothing short of shocking, a stark revelation of the true state of their collective spirit. Out of the initial 80,000 warriors, a staggering 76,000 succumbed to their primal urge, unable to resist the temptation of the life-giving water. They drank deeply, heedless of the divine injunction, their immediate physical comfort outweighing the spiritual command. Only a mere 4,000 men, a fraction of the original force, passed this initial, yet profoundly significant trial. The rest, their discipline failing, their faith wavering, were sent home, their unsuitability for the divine mission laid bare. This dramatic reduction in forces, seemingly a catastrophic blow to their military strength, was in fact a brutal yet necessary lesson. True strength, the kind that secures divine favor and ultimate victory, was not to be found in overwhelming numbers or brute force, but in unwavering faith, absolute discipline, and an unshakable commitment to obedience. It was a painful winnowing, but one that prepared the remaining few for the even greater challenges that lay ahead. The desert, in its unforgiving vastness, had revealed the true mettle of Israel's army, separating the wheat from the chaff, the truly devoted from the merely present. The winnowing at the river, though harsh, was merely the first act in a divine drama, designed to reveal the true heart of Israel's army. The 4,000 men who had demonstrated their initial obedience, their thirst for God's command outweighing their physical craving, pressed on, their spirits perhaps buoyed by their perceived righteousness. Yet the path ahead was not one of immediate triumph, but of an even greater, more terrifying challenge. They crested a ridge. The vast, sprawling encampment of the Philistines stretched before them, a menacing spectacle of tents, weaponry, and countless warriors. And at the forefront, casting an ominous shadow over the entire valley, stood Goliath, the Philistine champion. His sheer size was legendary, his armor gleaming under the sun, his voice, when he bellowed his daily challenge, echoing like thunder across the hills. The sight was enough to curdle the blood of even the most seasoned warriors. Fear, a cold, insidious serpent, began to coil around the hearts of many of the remaining 4,000. The initial resolve, forged in the crucible of thirst, began to crack under the immense pressure of overwhelming odds. Whispers of doubt turned into murmurs of despair, and soon the cries of "We have no power today against Goliath" echoed through the ranks, a lamentation of hopelessness that threatened to unravel all the discipline they had so recently displayed. The very air seemed to thicken with their collective dread. Most of the remaining 4,000, despite their earlier obedience, faltered. Their courage, which had seemed so robust, evaporated in the face of such a colossal, seemingly insurmountable foe. They had passed the test of self-control, but now faced the ultimate test of faith, believing in divine victory when human logic screamed defeat. Their fear was palpable, a contagious disease that spread rapidly through the camp. King Saul, a man often prone to his own anxieties and insecurities, witnessed this widespread despair with a heavy heart. He understood the psychological toll that Goliath's daily taunts and the sheer numerical superiority of the Philistines were taking on his men. A leader, even a king, cannot force courage upon a disheartened army. With a sigh of resignation, he declared that he would not fight with such disheartened people. He knew that a battle fought with trembling hands and wavering hearts was a battle already lost. And so the army dwindled further, a painful, yet necessary, calling. The faint of heart, those whose faith was not deep enough to withstand. The terror of Goliath melted away, leaving behind only a small, resolute band. From the initial 80,000, then 4,000, now only a mere 300 men remained. These were the true believers, the unshakable few who, despite the terrifying reality before them, understood a fundamental truth. Victory came not from human might, not from the size of their army, or the sharpness of their swords, but from God's will, from His divine intervention. Their unwavering faith, even when outnumbered and outmatched by an almost unimaginable margin, was a beacon in the encroaching darkness. They stood as a testament to the power of conviction, their very presence setting the stage for a miracle that would forever alter the course of history. It was among these few, these chosen, that the true hero of this saga would emerge, a young man whose faith burned brighter than any fear. Among this small, faithful remnant, this band of 300 who dared to stand against the Philistine horde, was a young man whose presence seemed almost incongruous amidst the grizzled warriors and seasoned veterans. His name was David, the youngest of Jesse's 13 sons, a shepherd by trade, whose days were spent tending his father's flocks in the quiet, sun-drenched hills of Bethlehem. He was not a soldier, not by conventional standards. He bore no armor, wielded no sword, and his hands, though strong from years of guiding sheep and fending off predators, were not calloused from the grip of a battle axe. Yet, unbeknownst to many, David possessed an extraordinary skill, a talent honed not on the training grounds of an army, but in the solitude of the wilderness. His weapon of choice was a simple slingshot, and with it, he was a master. He had used it to protect his vulnerable flock from the predatory jaws of lions and bears, developing an uncanny accuracy and a profound understanding of trajectory and force. This seemingly humble skill, dismissed by many as a mere pastoral pastime, was in fact a divine preparation for the monumental task that lay before him. For 40 days, Goliath the Philistine champion had emerged from his camp, his towering figure a grotesque silhouette against the morning and evening skies, his voice a booming roar that echoed through the valley of Elah, hurled insults and challenges at the trembling Israelite army. He defied them, their God and their king, demanding a single champion to face him in single combat, a duel that would decide the fate of the two nations. Each day, the Israelites, including King Saul himself, were paralyzed by fear. The sight of Goliath, clad in bronze armor, weighing over 125 pounds, with a spearhead alone weighing 15 pounds, was enough to sap the courage from the bravest of men. Many had tried to face him, driven by the desperate plea from King Saul. Whoever could defeat Goliath would marry his daughter, Michal, and more significantly, would become his successor, a promise of immense power and prestige. But each attempt had ended in failure, Goliath's defenses proving impenetrable, his strength overwhelming, his taunts growing ever more confident. It was into this atmosphere of despair and paralysis that David arrived, sent by his father Jesse to bring provisions to his elder brothers who were serving in Saul's army. He heard Goliath's blasphemous taunts, witnessed the fear that gripped the Israelite camp, and felt a righteous indignation stir within his young heart. How could this uncircumcised Philistine defy the armies of the living God? He saw not an insurmountable giant, but an affront to the honor of his God. His faith, nurtured in the quiet contemplation of the fields, was not a theoretical construct, but a living, breathing conviction. He approached King Saul, his youthful appearance and lack of military experience drawing skeptical glances. "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine," David declared with a confidence that belied his years. "Your servant will go and fight him." Saul, desperate, tried to dissuade him, pointing out David's youth and Goliath's lifelong experience as a warrior. But David recounted his encounters with lions and bears, attributing his victories not to his own strength, but to the Lord who had delivered him. "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine," he asserted. Saul, perhaps seeing a flicker of divine favor in the young man's eyes, relented, offering David his own armor. But the heavy, unfamiliar bronze was cumbersome, restricting David's movement. He cast it aside, choosing instead the tools he knew, the tools that had served him in his divine calling as a shepherd. His staff, his sling, and 5 smooth stones he carefully selected from the riverbed. With these humble instruments, David stepped onto the battlefield, a solitary figure facing the colossal might of Goliath. The giant, seeing a mere youth approaching him, scoffed. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David by his gods. But David's response was not one of fear, but of unwavering faith and prophetic declaration. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." As Goliath advanced, David ran quickly to meet him. With a swift, practiced motion, he reached into his bag, took out a stone, and slung it. The stone flew with incredible velocity and precision, striking Goliath squarely on his forehead. The impact was devastating. The giant, his skull fractured, reeled, and then crashed to the ground, face down, a thunderous sound that reverberated through the valley. The Philistine army, witnessing the impossible, their champion, felled by a mere boy with a sling, were seized by panic. Their invincible hero, their symbol of strength, lay prostrate. The psychological blow was immense. They scattered in terror, fleeing in disarray. David, seizing Goliath's own sword, drew it from its sheath and, with a final, decisive act, cut off the giant's head, a gruesome but necessary symbol of victory. David's triumph over Goliath was not merely a military victory. It was a profound testament to divine intervention, a clear demonstration that God fights for his people. It ignited a new hope in the hearts of the Israelites, transforming their despair into exultation, their fear into courage. The shepherd boy, through an act of unwavering faith and divinely guided skill, had not only saved his nation, but had also set in motion the events that would lead him to the very pinnacle of power. David's triumph over Goliath, a feat that defied all military logic and human expectation, was more than just a victory in battle. It was a seismic event that reshaped the destiny of a nation and marked the dawn of a new era. His name, once whispered only among his family and the sheep he tended, now resonated throughout Israel, synonymous with unparalleled courage, unwavering faith, and divine favor. From that day forward, David's star ascended rapidly. He became a national hero, celebrated in song and story, his popularity eclipsing even that of King Saul. This burgeoning fame, however, was not without its perils. Saul, consumed by jealousy and paranoia, saw in David not a loyal servant, but a dangerous rival. The once anointed king, now tormented by an evil spirit, made repeated attempts on David's life, forcing the young hero to flee and live as a fugitive, constantly on the run, gathering around him a band of loyal, though often desperate, followers. This period of exile, though fraught with hardship and danger, served as a crucial training ground. For David, it honed his leadership skills, deepened his reliance on God, and taught him empathy for the marginalized and oppressed. He learned to navigate complex political landscapes, to inspire loyalty in diverse individuals, and to lead with both strength and compassion. He had multiple opportunities to exact revenge on Saul, but consistently refused to harm the Lord's anointed, demonstrating a profound respect for divine authority and a remarkable restraint that further solidified his character. Upon Saul's tragic death, along with his son, Jonathan, in a battle against the Philistines on Mount Gilboa, the path was cleared for David's ascension. The tribes of Judah, recognizing his divine anointing and his proven leadership, first crowned him king over Judah in Hebron. 7.5 years he reigned from Hebron, consolidating his power and preparing the ground for a unified Israel. Then, recognizing his unparalleled stature and the divine hand upon him, all the tribes of Israel came to Hebron and anointed David king over all of Israel. His reign, a glorious period that would span a total of 40 years, was characterized by an unprecedented blend of wisdom, justice, and a deep, abiding devotion to God. It was a golden age, a time when Israel reached the zenith of its power and influence, becoming a respected force among the nations. David's first major act as king of a united Israel was to capture Jerusalem, a strategically vital city that had remained a Jebusite stronghold. He transformed it into his capital, renaming it the City of David, and, more significantly, brought the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred symbol of God's presence, to Jerusalem with great celebration. This act solidified Jerusalem's status not only as the political heart of the nation, but also as its spiritual center, a place where God's presence was honored and sought. He established a strong, centralized government, reformed the military, and expanded Israel's borders, securing peace and prosperity for his people. His military campaigns were marked by strategic brilliance and divine assistance, as he consistently sought God's guidance before engaging in battle. He defeated the Philistines decisively, breaking their power over Israel once and for all, and subdued other neighboring enemies, establishing a period of relative peace and security that allowed the nation to flourish. God's blessings upon David were manifold. He was not only blessed with kingship and military success, but also with extraordinary wisdom, a gift that permeated every aspect of his rule. His judgments were renowned for their fairness and insight, often cutting through deception to reveal the truth. One famous instance, though often attributed to his son Solomon, encapsulates the kind of discerning wisdom that characterized David's reign. The story, as recounted in some traditions, involved two men disputing the ownership of a cow. Both claimed the animal was theirs, and there were no witnesses. David, instead of resorting to a simple division or a coin toss, listened intently to their arguments, observing their demeanor. Then, with a flash of divine insight, he asked a seemingly unrelated question about a past event, a crime that had gone unpunished. Through their responses, David uncovered a hidden truth. One of the men, in his attempt to deceive, inadvertently revealed his guilt in the past crime, thereby exposing his dishonest character and proving the other man's rightful claim to the cow. This ability to discern beyond the surface, to perceive the hidden motives and truths, was a hallmark of David's leadership, ensuring that justice was not merely administered, but truly served. Beyond his administrative and military prowess, David was a man of profound spiritual depth. He was a poet, a musician, and a worshiper, and it was during his reign that many of the Psalms, a collection of songs and prayers that express the full spectrum of human emotion and devotion, were composed. These psalms, often attributed to David himself, continue to inspire millions across millennia, serving as a testament to his intimate relationship with God. He established a vibrant culture of worship, organizing the Levites and priests for temple service, even though the actual temple would be built by his son. His personal devotion was infectious, setting a spiritual tone for the entire nation. He understood that true kingship was not about personal power, but about serving God and his people. His kingdom flourished not just economically and militarily, but spiritually, becoming a beacon of strength, righteousness, and divine favor in the ancient world. David's reign was a testament to the transformative power of a leader who walked in humility and sought God's will above all else. He laid the foundations for a lasting dynasty, a covenant that promised his throne would endure forever, a promise that ultimately pointed to the coming of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, from his lineage. His life, though marked by both triumphs and failures, was ultimately defined by his heart for God, making him a king after God's own heart. David's life, a vibrant tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tribulation, unwavering faith and occasional human failing, stands as a monumental testament to his profound and enduring commitment to God. He was, in every sense, a man of immense strength, a formidable warrior whose physical prowess was matched only by the depth of his spiritual conviction. His journey from the solitary fields of Bethlehem, where he bravely defended his flock from wild beasts, to the bustling throne of Jerusalem, where he guided a nation, was a path paved with divine favor and personal discipline. His reign brought an unprecedented era of glory and stability to the Israelites, transforming a collection of disparate tribes into a unified, powerful kingdom. His devotion was not merely a public display, but a deeply ingrained aspect of his character. David spent his days in constant communion with God, his heart overflowing with worship and service. It was said that even iron softened in his hands, a miraculous ability that he humbly attributed to divine power. This extraordinary gift was not used for personal gain or military conquest alone, but for the practical benefit of his people. He meticulously crafted shields for his warriors, ensuring their protection in battle, and fashioned implements for the tabernacle, enhancing the beauty and sanctity of their worship. This blend of the practical and the spiritual, the earthly and the divine, was a hallmark of David's leadership. He understood that true kingship was not about wielding absolute power, but about stewarding God's people with wisdom, justice, and a shepherd's heart. David's life was a masterclass in disciplined living. He meticulously divided his time, ensuring that every aspect of his existence, his family, his personal devotion, and his governance of the nation received its due attention. He was a devoted husband, father, though his family life was not without its complexities and sorrows, reflecting the universal human experience of joy and pain. His personal worship was a cornerstone of his daily routine. He rose early to seek God, spent hours in prayer and meditation, and poured out his heart in the Psalms, those timeless expressions of praise, lament, and unwavering trust. These Psalms, many of which chronicle his own struggles and triumphs, served as a spiritual anchor for the nation, guiding their worship and providing a language for their deepest emotions. His governance was marked by tireless dedication. He personally heard disputes, administered justice, and oversaw the affairs of the kingdom, ensuring that the laws of God were upheld and that his people lived in peace and security. He established a strong administrative structure, appointed capable officials, and fostered a culture of accountability and righteousness throughout his realm. His legacy, however, extended far beyond his own remarkable lifetime. It flowed seamlessly into the reign of his son, Solomon, who inherited not only his father's throne, but also a significant portion of his profound wisdom. Solomon, renowned for his unparalleled sagacity, continued to build upon the robust foundations laid by David. He completed the magnificent temple in Jerusalem, a project that David had envisioned and meticulously planned, but was forbidden to build due to his involvement in warfare. This temple became the permanent dwelling place for the Ark of the Covenant and the spiritual heart of Israel, a symbol of God's presence among his people. Solomon's reign saw Israel reach its peak of economic prosperity and international influence, a direct result of the peace and stability secured by David's military victories and wise governance. The kingdom that David forged in courage and faith, Solomon adorned with splendor and wisdom, creating an empire that was the envy of the ancient world. But David's legacy was not merely confined to the political and economic spheres. It was, at its core, a spiritual legacy, a covenant that promised an eternal dynasty, a lineage from which the Messiah would ultimately emerge. The story of David serves as a powerful, enduring reminder that true leadership is not merely about power or prestige, but is deeply rooted in unwavering faith, profound humility, and a relentless, passionate pursuit of justice and righteousness. It teaches us that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, when human strength falters and hope seems lost, with God's guidance and intervention, the impossible can indeed become a tangible reality. David's life, with all its complexities and contradictions, ultimately points to a greater truth, that God uses imperfect people to accomplish his perfect will, and that a heart fully devoted to him can achieve extraordinary things. His story is a beacon of hope, a testament to the transformative power of faith, and a blueprint for a life lived in purpose and devotion. The echoes of his psalms, the lessons of his leadership, and the promise of his lineage continue to resonate through the ages, shaping spiritual thought and inspiring countless generations to seek a deeper relationship with the divine. His reign was a golden age, not just for Israel, but for all who would later draw inspiration from his unwavering trust in the Almighty, the very fabric of Israelite identity, and indeed, the foundational narratives of monotheistic faiths are inextricably linked to the shepherd king who dared to believe in the impossible. David's story, far from being a mere historical anecdote confined to the dusty pages of ancient texts, is a vibrant, living narrative that continues to resonate with profound relevance in our contemporary world. It transcends the boundaries of time and culture, offering universal truths and timeless lessons that speak directly to the human condition. It teaches us, with an undeniable clarity, that courage is not, as is often mistakenly believed, the absence of fear. Rather, it is the profound and transformative triumph over fear, a victory achieved not through brute force or reckless abandon, but through an unshakable, deeply rooted faith in a power greater than ourselves. David, facing the colossal and terrifying figure of Goliath, was undoubtedly afraid. Yet, his faith propelled him forward, transforming his fear into a catalyst for divine action. This is a lesson that echoes through the ages. True bravery is found in stepping forward despite the tremor in one's heart, knowing that a higher purpose guides one's steps. Furthermore, David's narrative powerfully reminds us that true strength, the kind that endures and overcomes, lies not in the accumulation of numbers, the might of armies, or the fleeting allure of worldly power. Instead, it resides in unwavering obedience to a higher calling, a steadfast commitment to divine principles, and a humble reliance on God's omnipotence. The dramatic winnowing of Israel's army from 80,000 to a mere 300 was a stark illustration of this truth. It was not the size of the army that secured victory, but the quality of their faith and their willingness to obey, even when the commands seemed illogical or impossible. This principle remains as vital today as it was millennia ago. Genuine power emanates from alignment with divine will, not from human ambition or material might. Just as David faced his literal giants on the battlefield, we too, in our own lives, encounter seemingly insurmountable obstacles. These modern-day giants may manifest as personal struggles, professional challenges, societal injustices, or global crises. Journey marked by both extraordinary triumphs and deeply human moments of vulnerability and failure, serves as an enduring source of encouragement. It implores us to trust implicitly in a power infinitely greater than our own, to seek divine guidance in our decisions, and to lead our lives with unwavering integrity, profound compassion, and a relentless pursuit of justice. David's life was not without its flaws. He made mistakes, some of them grievous. Yet his willingness to repent, to return to God with a contrite heart, further solidifies his status as a relatable and inspiring figure. His story is a testament to the redemptive power of grace and the enduring nature of God's forgiveness. The lessons gleaned from David's extraordinary life, his triumphs that inspire awe, his moments of vulnerability that foster empathy, and his unwavering devotion that challenges us to greater faith, offer a profound and practical blueprint for navigating the complexities of our own existence. His journey encourages us to embrace faith not as a passive belief, but as an active, dynamic force that shapes our actions and perceptions. It calls us to cultivate wisdom, not merely as intellectual knowledge, but as a discerning insight that guides our choices and allows us to see beyond the superficial. And it challenges us to strive for a life that honors a purpose far grander than our individual desires, a life lived in service to something eternal and divine. The shepherd boy who became king, the warrior who became a psalmist, the flawed man who became a man after God's own heart. David's story is a timeless echo, reverberating through history, inviting each of us to find our own courage, embrace our own faith, and discover the extraordinary potential that lies within a life dedicated to a higher calling. His legacy is not just a historical record. It is a living inspiration, a perpetual reminder that with faith, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome, and the most humble beginnings can lead to the most profound destinies. The narrative of David is, in essence, a mirror reflecting the universal human quest for meaning, purpose, and connection with the divine, offering hope and guidance for all who dare to embark on their own epic journey of faith.